But the fact that the media could make, I don't know, what is it, a couple hundred, maybe, controversial cases maximum of black Americans being shot by police, is that really the top issue in the country? Or is millions of black babies aborted this year? Does that matter? No, no, no. That doesn't even blip on the radar screen. Every week I see an article where a black cop in a questionable shooting shoots a white person. There are no riots there because there is no media hyping it like the police just shot Martin Luther King. The media run by the globalist is hyping it. So you know it's not good. That's what I'm saying. The police killings of unarmed blacks in Ferguson, Missouri, and elsewhere, and the investigations and tumultuous protests they inspired was the top news story of 2014, according to the Associated Press annual poll of U.S. editors and news directors. See how it serves as a giant distraction? Not the president becoming a dictator, not Raul Castro saying, be a dictator, use your powers. Not the open borders and legalizing the illegals, not global government being openly announced or our own government getting caught funding ISIS and our own military saying no to it. None of that matters. In a year crowned with dramatic and often retching news developments around the world, the #2 story was the devastating outbreak of Ebola in West Africa, followed by the conflict in Iraq and Syria, fueled by the brutal actions of the Islamic State militants. How about fueled by the West publicly? When you really know what's going on, reading this is just, it's like 1984. It's like I'm working in the Ministry of Truth or something, reading this propaganda. Among the 85 voters casting ballots, first-place votes were spread among 15 different stories. The Ferguson entry received 22 first-place votes. Ebola, 11, and Islamic State stories, 12. And I guess it's kind of true that that would be the top story of the year because they're just reporting on what the top story was. But the same media, state-run media, made it the top story so that we'd all be at each other's throats. And I know I harp on this because it's so central to everything. The president, outside of Congress since January, legalizes anybody and everybody that hits our shores. They've had top Border Patrol officials on record say, quote, we complete the smuggling process. We load them on buses. We give them money. They are shipped to Democratic Party facilities or to government schools or to Democrat homes or to churches, and that's it. I've got family goes to a Methodist church, and they basically take up offerings to help finance all this. I mean, this is prolific, ladies and gentlemen. But, oh, that's not even a story. The president becoming a dictator, for all intents and purposes, is not a story. So I'll throw this out at the listeners, too. A, can we stop a race war, civil unrest being started? B, where do you focus your real political energy, your peaceful energy? But certainly you don't focus violent energy on cops. But as I said, when the Civil War kicks off, if they're successful, that's who's going to take the brunt of it. And a lot of people at a primitive level will go, good, they deserve it. They've had authority and have been arrogant and imperious and brutal. Really, from small-town cops to cops down your street, they've really been brutal to you? They've really, all of them? Because I've seen corrupt police growing up, drug-dealing police. I've also seen police help a lot of people, and police have helped me. So under the Constitution, it's a good thing. Under the New World Order system, yes, the police are under a bad system, but we need to attack the system intellectually and not follow MSNBC and Al Sharpton's cue, along with Media Matters, who, again, attacked me a month ago. I think the headline was, deranged Alex Jones claims Obama and the Justice Department trying to stop race war and want to get cops killed. Can you guys pull that up? I want to read the quotes. Now you see it happening. They know full well I'm exposing them. They don't like it. Because when they're done wiping out a whole bunch of police and the full police state comes in, they're going to put real criminal thugs in who, when they order them to go mow down a bunch of people in the inner city, they'll do it. Or when they order them to come grab me and put a bag over my head and disappear me, they'll do it. That was their headline on Ebola. I forget their headline like a month ago. It was something like that about Jones's latest theory. Obama wants race war. I think Raw Story did that too, Mother Jones, all the usual White House-controlled suspects. But that's how communists and socialists always direct things, is at the grassroots government, because they want to just overthrow that or intimidate that so that it backs down and then lets them get in charge of the government apparatus at the top. There it is, Salon. Alex Jones's wild new Ferguson theory. The wingnut. Oh, that really discredits me using might as well call me the space alien. Radio host is convinced that the riots are merely the first salvo in Obama's nationwide race war. And then you go read my quotes. I said they're planning a war to start killing police, and you see what's happening. And again, I'm not bragging about how I'm right. I'm telling you, we know what we're talking about here. And when they're done getting a race war with the police going, race/police war going, destabilization campaign, they'll fully federalize the police, and then they're going to flip it. They've already, behind the scenes, already done this. On to gun owners, returning veterans, constitutionalists, pro-lifers, evangelicals, and then on to anti-war groups and everybody on the left as well. And on to protest and freedom of speech, period. It will be seen as something that is linked to cops getting their heads blown off. And the police will go out and get more brutal, and then it's going to spread, and then they're going to get the orders to start targeting patriots, and patriots are going to see other patriots drug away and disappeared, and then patriots are going to start fighting back, and oh my gosh, is it going to be horrible. And you will see George Soros and all the rest of the Rockefellers and the rest, they'll go hide out in Europe. They'll go hide out in Monte Carlo or in Geneva or in London while all this goes down. And it is going to be hellish. And that's how you bring down America, and that's the plan, and that's why I talk about this at least once a week in detail. Because if we don't turn this around, this is how they're going to take the nation down. And they're going to take out their enemy, the states and the cities, the independent jurisdictions, whether they be good, bad, or ugly. There's a mix. And the American people and the veterans that the globalists fear, they want to wear us out, killing each other. And then they're going to roll in, after 2-3 years of this, they're going to roll in with the UN troops as Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger have all been quoted in Foreign Affairs magazine of the Council on Foreign Relations. They've all shot their mouths off for 20 years about how they were going to use race riots and destabilization, balkanization. Just like they'll stir up a civil war in Syria and then say, oh, we got to go in to end the civil war. Or they'll start a civil war in Tunisia. Or they'll start a civil war in Egypt. They'll start a civil war in Iraq, to then bring in their solution, breaking the countries up and putting them into larger super regions. This is an ancient Roman/British, in the more modern sense, great game is what it's called. Just Google British Empire, the Great Game. That's what it was called by Cecil Rhodes, by Kipling, by all of them. Just, it's all there. It's all public. The battle plan is public. And here's Time Magazine. And we're going to go to your calls. Oh, there it is. The Great Game was a term for the strategic rivalry and conflict between the British Empire and the Russian Empire, the supremacy in Central Asia. The classic Great Game period is generally regarded as a running approximately from the Persian Treaty of 1813 to the Anglo-Russian Convention of 1907. A less intensive phase followed the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. That's right, British intel put V.I. Lenin in, declassified. In the post-Second World War, they put old Alois Hitler in there. In the post-Second World War, post-colonial period, the term is continued in use to describe the geopolitical machinations of great powers and regional powers as they vie for geopolitical power and influence in the area. The Great Game is usually attributed to Arthur Conley, the intelligence officer and the head of the British East India Company's 6th Bengal Light Cavalry. It was introduced into mainstream consciousness by British novelist Rudyard Kipling. See,